Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to our WWE 2K16 Universe mode. Now, I do apologise, this video is a whole week late. I had a bit of an issue with my internet connection last week, and I was unable to do anything. So I thought, instead of just trying to rush as many of these videos and not do them very well, I thought I'd actually just give it a week off and come back to you right now. Right, this is our next episode of Thunder, and as I promised last week, we are going to have a special episode of Thunder this Saturday. It's going to be Thunder Invades Lucha Underground, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Main reason being this Saturday is I want to try and get it done before we get into our next set of rivalries, just in case any championships change hands. We know that Sheamus will be facing off against Hulk Hogan for the Thunder Championship. That's all we know at the moment, and of course you can expect the debut of quite a few new guys that are going to be joining the Thunder roster from Lucha Underground. So without further ado, let's have a look at the card we've got set for you this evening. We're going to start things off with a triple threat match between Carlito, Paul White and Johnny Gargano. Then we've got the tag team champions, The New Day, taking on Enzo and Cass. Non-title match there, but a win for Enzo and Cass will be a massive one for them. Next, we have a rematch from last week, but this is not for the Thunder Women's Championship. If you've not seen last week, Rosemary won the Thunder Women's Championship on her debut against Trish Stratus. Trish going to get an opportunity here this evening to try and get a little bit of retribution, I suppose. But this is a non-championship match, but should Trish win, I would assume that would cement her a rematch. Flying Brian Pillman takes on Jack Swagger. We've got Fandango taking on Eddie Guerrero. Now, Fandango picked up a big victory last week against Rick Rude, so if he can continue that form here this evening against Guerrero, you never know. We might have to start considering him, you know, for one of our mid-card championships, maybe. Next, we have Dean Ambrose taking on the United States champion, Bad News Barrett. And our main event, once again, we saw the same main event last week. Sting trying to get some retribution over The Undertaker. Unfortunately, last week, he was unable to do so as The Undertaker picked up the victory. I'm sure this week he's hoping for a different result. So we are going to watch 3 matches here this evening. I'm thinking Sting, Undertaker, Dean Ambrose, Bad News Barrett, definitely. I think we'll skip the triple threat because they don't necessarily work too well on this game. It's Gargano with a victory. I'll tell you what, Gargano has been looking very, very good. Gargano and Cruz are 2 guys for me that have really done very, very well on this Thunder roster, and I'm thinking maybe those 2 guys should be looking to try and get themselves a shot at that United States Championship. I know they both were involved in the Fatal 4-Way not a few weeks back that Bad News Barrett won, but I think either of those 2 guys deserve a singles feud, I think. Right, we'll sim the tag match as well, which is of course won by the tag team champions, The New Day. This team becoming absolutely unbeatable. I wonder who's going to be next to get the opportunity against them. If you have a look at the bottom of the screen, you might actually find out who that's going to be. But all these are the rivalries I've got set up to go at the moment, but obviously things could change depending on our special Thunder episode coming up on Saturday. I will sim the women's match, and Rosemary, the women's champion, picks up another victory against Trish Stratus. That's going to cement her as a women's champion now, and Trish will have to go to the back of the line and earn herself another shot. Now I'm torn between Pillman versus Swagger and Fandango versus Guerrero. Oh, you know, I like Pillman, but I'm tempted to go for this one. With Fandango's recent form, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to skip Pillman Swagger, which is won by Swagger, and we're going to watch Fandango versus Guerrero. I know what you're thinking, but Fandango's got a rich vein of form here, and a win against Guerrero could really force his way into this top half of the card. We're going to have Dean Ambrose versus the United States champion, Bad News Barrett, and we are going to watch Undertaker versus Sting once again. So without further ado, let's get straight into our first match of the evening. And as I said, that first match is going to be Fandango in a rich vein of form, taking on Eddie Guerrero, who's not been doing fantastic of recent, yet to pick up too many victories in this universe mode, but I'm sure he's looking to turn it around. And here we go in Philadelphia. What's PA stand for? Philadelphia... I don't know. I should know that. I'm generally quite good in my American states, but for some reason I don't know what Philadelphia, PA. I know, obviously I know where Philadelphia is, but PA is it Phoenix, Arizona? No, it's not going to be that, is it? I'm going to embarrass myself because I know a lot of my viewers out there are actually American, so I'm actually going to Google it now. Find out where it is. That's going to annoy me because as soon as I know where it is, I'm going to go, oh, of course it is. Philadelphia, PA, Pennsylvania. Okay, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Well, it's not. Why do I think it was Phoenix, Arizona for? Because Phoenix is in the state of Arizona. I don't know why I was... yeah, just ignore me. I apologise to all the Americans out there for my ignorance. So Fandango here, not getting the best of times currently in the WWE, but so far he's earned himself some decent going in this universe mode. He's done pretty well, picked up a few big victories, including that big one last week against Rick Rude. And who knows, another victory here against Eddie Guerrero could really force his way up there. And like I was saying earlier on, Johnny Gargano and Apollo Crews have both done absolutely fantastically of recent, and both guys sort of deserve to be going for one of those championships. I think the United States Championship, of course, but I just wonder, a win here for Fandango sort of forces him into the same picture. Maybe we'll have to have some sort of #1 contendership match, maybe. Guerrero is somebody I expect to be a little bit higher up the roster. He's not done as well as I assumed so far. Now, a guy like Fandango, like I just said, is not done too well in the WWE at the moment. Currently locked in this bit of a dodgy skit alongside Tyler Breeze, R-Truth and Goldust. But I think once the roster split comes into effect next month, it's sort of going to be a little bit more interesting, because a few of these guys are going to start to get more opportunities. I was reading an interview with Triple H today, and he said that when they do the roster split, they're going to have to raid NXT just to have enough talent to branch across both rosters, which again, it interests me, because it means guys like Fandango now as actually get a little bit more time on screen. And I think it's a good thing, because if you spend the time to develop characters like this, they can become successful. And he was very successful after that first WrestleMania he came in, just for the sheer fact that everyone found him a bit of a joke. I think if he went on some... you know what? I think the gimmick isn't too bad. It's not... Don't get me wrong, it's nothing to write home about. It's never going to be a winning gimmick. But I think he plays it quite well. And I think he does get a reaction from the crowd. So I think if done the right way, he could actually be a valuable member of the roster. Don't get me wrong, he's not going to go and win the WWE Championship at any point of time. But this roster split is the best thing for a lot of guys, including guys like Curtis Axel and guys like Bo Dallas, guys like Heath Slater, all these guys that have been stuck jobbing to everybody else. All of a sudden, there's more space on the card. There's going to be a completely separate show, Raw and SmackDown, and they could end up getting themselves a lot more TV time, especially with main event as well. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just a little bit annoyed that it's still over a month away. It's still 5 or 6 weeks away from having this roster split. I don't know what's going to happen. I've got a sneaky feeling that the actual draft might end up being a network special. I don't think it will be part of Raw or SmackDown like it has been in the past. I'm thinking maybe a network special where all they do in the whole like hour-long episode maybe is just the draft, picking all the people. And it would not surprise me as well. You can count on this one. It would not surprise me as well if there's some surprise people in that draft. I'm not just talking NXT. From that Triple H thing I was reading earlier on, he did say, somebody asked the question about Eric Young and Bobby Roode, and Triple H said that they're both in contract talks at the moment. So he's confirmed that WWE are trying to sign both those guys. Should they sign them, they're both quite comfortable working on TV as they've shown as they've shown on TNA. So what's the chances that both those guys could just be put straight on the main roster as per AJ Styles was? There's no reason why not. They're both comfortable enough to do that. They're both good enough on the mic. They're both very good in the ring as well, so there's no reason why that would be an issue. So it would not surprise me if that was to happen. And guys like Rob Van Dam could come back for a few months, and it would not surprise me. Carlito maybe. John Morrison is somebody that I've read that Vince is interested in bringing back as well. And all of a sudden, you're getting these guys coming out of the woodwork, and it could be, like I said, there could be a few surprise names in that draft. One thing that does interest me as well is that obviously you're all watching this now, but I'm recording this last night. So I'm recording this a few hours before NXT TakeOver The End has happened. I am going to be getting up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, or 5 o'clock this morning as you're reading this, or watching this, to watch the pay-per-view before work. So I don't honestly know what's going to happen as of yet, but it's going to be interesting, because if they are going to raid some of NXT, it makes you wonder what they're going to do champion-wise. I'm going to assume that Samoa Joe keeps his championship this evening. And then that allows Finn Balor to move up onto the main roster. But Finn Balor has already been announced for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which is the next one, which is going to be at this SummerSlam weekend. So there's no reason why Finn couldn't work both shows. That's exactly what Sami Zayn did. He worked a match against Nakamura at TakeOver, and then he worked the WrestleMania show a couple of days after. No reason why that couldn't happen again. I'm just not sure if it would, to be brutally honest. But it just depends with champions as well. If that is going to be the case, American Alpha maybe dropping the tag team championships back to the Revival, then coming straight up, because I think American Alpha are better than the Revival. That's a strong possibility. I'm thinking probably a few women as well. People like Alexa Bliss might make her way up now that she's removed any links to Blake and Murphy. Then she could come up. Asuka, Nia Jax, Bayley. I think from what I've read, they're going to keep Bayley down at the moment because she is the main face on that roster. Be it male or female, it doesn't really matter. She is the main face on that roster. She gets such a arousing sort of reaction every time she comes out. And that was another thing that Triple H did mention is when somebody asked him about Bulldog and catching Fandango's head on that bottom rope. When it was mentioned about the draft split in NXT having a lot of their talent stolen, Triple H said it's not a problem because they've got 80 people at the moment, over 80 people signed up in developmental, and he said anybody moves up to the main roster, that just frees space for some of these other 80 people to finally get an opportunity, and that includes the likes of Biff Busey, of course, Christopher Gerrard, I don't know if they're going to change his name. Same with Rich Swann as well. Both guys have had 1 or 2 matches so far on the live shows, but only to put other people over. So it'd be interesting. I'm looking to see them guys get a chance, and at the moment I think it's a good thing because I think NXT's got a little bit... No, I'm not going to say it's got stale, but I think everyone that's on NXT at the moment could quite easily be up on the main roster. NXT is supposed to be a developmental, and I don't think those guys are going to... Well, of course they're going to improve, but I think they'll improve a lot more by being on the main shows now, and it gives other guys a chance to get onto NXT and start to work television shows and actually understand how it all works. Guys that have never done that before, and I think NXT having an exodus up to the main roster would be a good thing, as Fandango looking to potentially go for the leg drop. I don't think he's realised that Guerrero's got backup. Guerrero catches him with that right hand. Now what's Guerrero looking for here? Looks like he could be going for a superplex. And he does hit it perfectly. Fandango goes down, hitting the mat hard. Guerrero now bringing Fandango back to his feet. Fandango catches him there with that uppercut. Guerrero now a snapmare and looks to slow the pace of this match down. This has been quite even. And like I was saying, Fandango's been in a very good vein of form of recent. And I think we're seeing that here continue on because at the moment he's doing very, very well. I wouldn't expect him to do this well against a guy like Eddie Guerrero. Guerrero is obviously a very established wrestler, somebody who has held the championship in the past. What Guerrero's looking for there, he actually brings Fandango back up to his feet. I'm surprised Guerrero didn't go for potentially a frog splash, but there's a suplex, keeps the grip and rolls their hips. We've seen this before. Looking maybe for the 3 amigos. There's the second, holds the grip, and there's a third, and look where Fandango is placed perfectly in the middle of the ring, but Guerrero's going to go for the pin instead, thinks he might have enough here. 1, 2, and Guerrero does have enough, and all of a sudden Fandango's run of form is halted by Eddie Guerrero. So well done, Eddie Guerrero. Should be an interesting part of our special show this weekend, Eddie Guerrero, of course. Being Mexican himself, well, Mexican descent from El Paso, Texas. We can see some decent matches out of him. Maybe against someone like Tejano or someone like that. I don't know who we're going to actually have in this show this week. I've not actually decided who's going to be in. I've got an idea of a couple of people. I'm thinking maybe Mil Muertes and Pentagon Jr., guys like that. Guys are a bit more dark because that sort of suits this roster a bit more. I'd love to see Ivelisse and Sexy Star maybe come in as well. But yeah, we'll find out what we're going to do on Saturday. I've got to try and find who I can download at the community creations, who looks good enough to be part of our roster as well. Of course, guys like Phoenix, guys like... who's the other one? Phoenix and Drago. A few of these guys are already lined up for our Global Cruiserweight Championship over on SmackDown, so it's not going to be a full Lucha Underground roster. It's just going to be a few of the guys that will be moving here permanently to Thunder. And here is our next match of the evening. It's going to be Dean Ambrose taking on our current United States Champion, Bad News Barrett. And here we go. A win here for Ambrose would really put him in a prime position to try and get himself a United States Championship match. No reason why he can't go for it. Ambrose is a very, very, very capable wrestler. Somebody who a lot of people are touting could win at this Money in the Bank. And you know what? After looking at the Money in the Bank, I'm actually really excited about this one because it's pretty evident to me that Jericho's not going to win the Money in the Bank. There's no reason for Jericho to win. If you take him out of the equation, you've also got The Miz, who I'm hoping will not be involved in... The Miz didn't qualify, did he? No. Ignore that. The Miz is not involved. Just ignore that. So you've got Dean Ambrose, you've got Kevin Owens, you've got Sami Zayn, you've got Cesaro. Those 5 guys, potentially at the moment, any one of those 5 could win the Money in the Bank briefcase. And that for me is fantastic because it means we're going to have a first-time champion. However, there is still a place for one more person to enter that Money in the Bank. So it'd be interesting to see who that last person is going to be. It's widely sort of suggested that it could be Bray Wyatt, which I'm hoping it is. That'd be fantastic. And then again, it would mean that we would definitely have a first-time, well, we'd have a first-time winner of the Money in the Bank. Cesaro, love to see him as the champion. Owens, I'd love to see him as the champion. I think it could end up being Owens, you know. I think he's the guy that could hold that championship and do a very, very good job at it. Zayn, I think it's a little bit early for Zayn. I don't think it will be him. I'd love it to be him, but I don't think it will be him. Cesaro is a guy that we've just all wanted to see with that belt for years upon years. I don't know if WWE are finally going to pull the trigger on him or not. Jericho, like I said, I don't think he'll win it. And then if it is Bray Wyatt, then it's again a very interesting one. I'd love to see Bray Wyatt do it. I don't think Bray Wyatt necessarily needs a championship. I think Bray Wyatt can sell pay-per-views just by the fact of being Bray Wyatt, because he always is involved in very, very good storylines, Wyatt. So I don't think he necessarily needs the belt. I don't think any of the guys need the belt. They're all very, very good wrestlers now. They can all... if you look at a guy like Roman Reigns, for me, Roman Reigns needs the belt to give him any sort of credibility. Without the belt, he's just this whining, overpowered guy. It's just... yeah, he needs the belt to really survive, whereas I don't think any of the other guys do. And I think winning the Money in the Bank is going to be a massive thing, because I think that's the way that Reigns will lose the championship. I think the Money in the Bank will be the way he loses it. I think that he'll end up winning a match that he'll just get out of nowhere. He'll get hit by so many moves and just hit one Superman punch and win like he normally does. And then he'll probably get beaten the crap out of, maybe by the club or something like that, and then all of a sudden somebody comes down and cashes in that championship. And I think that'll be a good thing. I think that's going to be the way, because I can't see Reigns losing that belt now to at least SummerSlam. I don't think he'll lose it to Seth at Money in the Bank. As much as I would love that, I don't think he will. I think it'll be at least SummerSlam, but I'm thinking maybe more towards Survivor Series he loses the belt. I think he'll lose it at Survivor Series, then somebody else will hold it all the way through till WrestleMania, and obviously face off against the winner of the Royal Rumble, which I'm hoping is not going to be Roman Reigns, because he's won it. Well, he won it once, didn't he? And then Triple H won the next year. But yeah, he's been too involved in the Royal Rumble for me. As Ambrose did a good job here against Bad News Barrett. It started off well for Barrett with that massive clothesline. And now Ambrose looking to return the favour. And of course, like I said earlier on, a win here for Ambrose would really cement him in that United States Championship picture. Ambrose so far has had opportunities to try and get the #1 contendership for the Thunder Championship. Never been able to really be successful as of yet. But a win here would really help him out. What a stiff right hand that was. Now getting behind Bad News Barrett, and there's a Russian leg sweep bringing him down. Ambrose slides back into the ring. Referee's up to a 6 count. Ambrose, I don't think he's going to win this one count out, but Bad News Barrett does slide in at the 7 count. And I don't know if Ambrose's idea was so wise there. He stood in the ring and taunted while allowing Bad News Barrett to come back in. That allowed Barrett a few extra seconds on the outside to really recuperate, really. And then he sends Ambrose straight back out to the outside, but I don't necessarily think that's the best place for Barrett to be. I know Barrett comes from a background of street fighting and stuff like that, but if you've seen the background from Dean Ambrose, you do not want to be in this situation with him. This guy is an absolute crazy man. If you've ever seen any Combat Zone wrestling stuff, you'll know how rough some of those pay-per-views can get, to the point where Dean Ambrose was involved in what they used to call the Tournament of Death, which is a hardcore championship and a hardcore King of the Ring style tournament, shall I say. But it's more hardcore. It's nothing like the Attitude Era hardcore matches. There's no street signs to that. It's more glass. It's more barbed wire. It's more not thumbtacks. It's more nails. There's some really aggressive and vicious stuff goes on. That's the one reason I've heard this before. I'm not 100% sure if it's true or not, but I think it is. You know, when Dean Ambrose first signed for WWE, he was told that he was always going to have to wear a vest to the ring because of the amount of barbed wire scars he has on his back and his chest. You might have to try and back that one up or debunk that one for me, but I'm sure I read that Dean Ambrose put on there himself when he first joined WWE. He said, thank you for a very loud car driving past. He said himself on Twitter when he first joined WWE, it's really embarrassing going to work and trying to explain away all of the barbed wire scars on your back. And that's one of the reasons why Dean Ambrose always wears a vest. I don't know what Roman Reigns' idea is, and what his argument is. I've actually read some people on the internet saying that Roman Reigns wears that vest because it's slightly padded and makes him look slightly bigger. That's not his choice. It's something that Vince wants him to do to make him look more muscular. But this is all just internet talk I'm reading, isn't it? Not necessarily any truth in it. As Bad News Barrett just sending Ambrose straight off the apron viciously. So, of course, if you are enjoying the Thunder roster, then, like I said, there will be a special five-match episode being uploaded on Saturday, which will be Thunder Invades Lucha Underground. We're going to see a few debuts of some people that will be joining the Thunder roster permanently as well. And then from that, we're going to have 5 weeks until our next... And maybe 4 weeks until our next pay-per-view after that. Of course, we know that Hollywood Hulk Hogan will be defending his Thunder Championship against Sheamus, who won the #1 contendership last week in that Fatal 4-Way match, which also included Cactus Jack, Dolph Ziggler, and Kevin Nash. Oh, Dean Ambrose with the pin. It's almost a free count, but it's not quite enough. Barrett slowly crawled his way back up to his feet, but Ambrose caught with an overhand punch now, sending Barrett into the corner. Barrett with a back elbow. And there's that front chance. That's a front chance. That's a snapmare, shall I say. Ambrose with a right hand to the gut. There's the snapmare. Now locking in that reverse chin lock as well. Oh, and Ambrose just ran straight into that sit-out spinebuster by Bad News Barrett. Barrett holds the pin. And Ambrose has just got to grab the ropes behind him, but he does kick out just in time. It was dangerous there by Ambrose. Barrett now taking Ambrose up onto that top rope, and it's not looking good here for Ambrose at the moment. Barrett's in control of this one, takes him down, super backdrop, and that could be all she wrote. Ambrose was nearly out after that sit-out spinebuster. Now gets caught by the super backdrop, but Barrett for some reason doesn't go for the pin. He decides to just try and slow the pace. This one down, twisting the head of Ambrose. Maybe he should have gone for the pin there as Ambrose is back up to his feet. Stiff right hand, then a headbutt as well. And Ambrose now have a couple of slaps to the face of Barrett and a running drop kick against the ropes. And those ropes are not soft, you know. When you're pinned up against them, it's very painful. They're woven steel cables. They're not as springy as people make out at all. They're strong. They keep you in the ring. They've got a little bit of bounce to them, but not as much as people would expect. It's very, very difficult to spring off of ropes. It's one thing that they spend a lot of time teaching you when you first join a wrestling company, is just how to bounce off them ropes. It's not as easy as you would expect. Powerbomb by Dean Ambrose. Don't know where he got that one from. That's a new move from me. And now he's up on the top rope, looking for something crazy potentially. And is that a knee drop, I think it was? It's difficult to tell. I'm sure it was a knee drop. And now Ambrose looking to slow the pace down. Again, I don't know why Ambrose hasn't gone for the pin. He did the same thing that Bad News Barrett did earlier. Should have gone for the pin, but he's gone for this maneuver here to try and slow Barrett down. Ambrose now sending Barrett into the corner. Brings him out of the corner. And you know what? For a 3-match episode, this is going to end up going a long one, this one. We're at 26 minutes already before editing, and we've still got a match left between Sting and The Undertaker to come here this evening. Of course, Sting and The Undertaker, that feud became came into force because of the tag team that was forced together by Eric Bischoff last month after the pay-per-view. He decided he wanted to see more of Sting and The Undertaker together. Obviously, Sting lost at the pay-per-view in the elimination tag match, and The Undertaker took out his frustrations. Even though The Undertaker got knocked out first, he came back out and flattened Sting after the match. Ambrose now lining Barrett up. There's the Dirty Deeds. In for the pin he goes. This could be a massive victory for him over the United States Champion. And he gets it. Dean Ambrose with a non-championship victory over Bad News Barrett. And for me, he may have just cemented himself a match at our upcoming Thunder Invades Lucha Underground show. Or maybe after that, because I think it might be a bit tight on that a bit tight on that card. I think maybe we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I want to try and debut as many people as possible on that Lucha Underground show, so we might have to hold on to the United States Championship match a little bit longer. It's a tricky match, this one. Both guys had a lot of opportunities to win this one, but of course it was Ambrose eventually who did pick up the 1-2. And well, this was an earlier Dirty Deeds, of course. I was a bit confused because of the camera angles. Really good match there between these two. Really showed a nice mixture of styles. Shame we didn't really get to see. I don't think we got to see any Bad News Barrett versus Dean Ambrose, did we? Before Bad News Barrett had left. I think Bad News Barrett's retired. I don't think he's going to go on and wrestle anywhere else. I think he's done with wrestling now. I think he's probably going to go and try and stick with the acting instead, I think. And there was the second of the Dirty Deeds. That was what finished Bad News Barrett off for the 1, the 2, and the tray. So a big win here for Dean Ambrose. Definitely gained himself a future United States Championship match. When will that be, though? Will he have to wait until the next pay-per-view? Will he get it beforehand? I think he might have to wait till the next pay-per-view, you know. We'll have to wait and see. If I can squeeze it into our Raw Invades Lucha Underground pay-per-view, I will. He definitely deserves it after that hard-fought victory over Bad News Barrett. And here he is now just summoning the soul of Booker T. 5-time. 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 And here is our main event of the evening. Sting looking to get some more retribution on The Undertaker, or get some retribution back on The Undertaker for Taker turning on him at the recent Over the Edge pay-per-view. And here we are with the main event then. I do have a slight word of warning for everybody out there. If you are very, very hot and you've got a leather computer share, make sure you wear a top while you're recording, because I've just got my entire back stuck to the leather and it bloody hurt when you try and strike it off. But enough of my first world issues. We have the icon Sting. A man that I've mentioned this quite a few times now. I'm very, very disappointed that WWE went with Sting versus Triple H for his first match in WWE. For me, they should have just gone straight for Sting versus Taker. There's no reason why not. And then obviously Sting got injured in that match against Seth Rollins. Not Seth Rollins' fault by all accounts. I don't honestly know. I'm not a wrestling expert. But still, that match against Seth Rollins, what finished his career? He had the injury, he had surgery, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to bring him back in. So now we're never ever going to get to see this match. And that's the great thing about this sort of game, though, because we can do everything we wanted to see. And these two guys will be colliding. For quite some time now, I've got these two guys designed to feud all the way up to our next pay-per-view. It's going to be one of the main parts of our next pay-per-view. Maybe looking at some sort of... maybe Elimination Chamber match or something along them sort of lines. That'd be pretty cool. Although Elimination Chambers don't necessarily work too good in this game. Is that a basketball on his shoulder? It looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah, Elimination Chambers aren't too good on this game, so we'll have to wait and see. As we await the longest entrance. I don't know, is this the longest entrance? It's probably... if I ever did The Undertaker versus Finn Balor, that'd be a pretty epic entrance. I think the majority of the video would just be entrance altogether, wouldn't it? I do apologise if you hear my computer's going mad. I've just plugged in my iPod to charge and it's just decided it's going to open iTunes, and it's decided it's going to try and download updates for iTunes. It's just a bit crazy now at the moment. Right, so there we are. Mr. Calloway, Mark Calloway. So of course we're also coming up to our next pay-per-views next month. I wonder if one of them is going to be Money in the Bank. I think it might be, you know. It might very well be Money in the Bank. That'd be interesting, that, because if we do get a Money in the Bank, I'm not going to do what I've done in previous games. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to let the game run and select the 6 people it wants to put in that Money in the Bank, because in the past I've tried to change it, and if you change any people in that Money in the Bank match, it takes away the briefcase. It's no longer classed as a Money in the Bank match, so that's really annoying. So I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. The 6 people that get put in there are going to be the 6 people. I should imagine it'll probably mix between the 2 rosters that are hosting that show. I don't know what rosters it'll be, actually. I think it might end up being Thunder. It's probably going to be Raw and Thunder, you know, that I think get that Money in the Bank. Raw and Thunder, and then it's going to be Nitro and SmackDown sharing on week number 2. That sounds about right. We'll have to wait and see, actually. Of course, after we do this weekend pay-per-view, because we've not only got our special Thunder episode this weekend. Of course, we do have our next pay-per-view, which is Payback, which will be uploaded on Sundays, 2 separate parts, and that is going to be between, I'm going to say, what am I going to say? Nitro and Raw? I think it's Nitro and Raw. Because Thunder and SmackDown shared, and SmackDown stole American Alpha, who will be making their debut tomorrow. So be sure to keep an eye out on that. American Alpha making their debut on SmackDown tomorrow, and they have promised a special surprise as well. So be sure to check out SmackDown tomorrow. I might record that straight after this. I don't have enough time, I don't think. It's 10 o'clock now, and I want to go to bed early so I can get up in time for NXT. Taker now starting things off well, just wrenching back at the arm. Of course, Taker playing the heel in this feud at the moment. He's the one that attacked Sting after their match a couple of weeks back Over the Edge. Of course, they were a tag team. There was no real chemistry between the two. They were coinciding. No problem with that. They wanted to go forward. They wanted to do as best they could because they're both very professional wrestlers. But at the end of the day, it just got too much for them. They were feuding against the team of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, which was a very strong team. I didn't realise how strong they were until started to use them a bit more. Of course, Nash is like a 95 and I think Hall was a 90. It's credible. So because of that, it ended up being quite one-sided, really. And we had a elimination tag match at Over the Edge with Sting and Taker taking on Hall and Nash. It was Taker being eliminated first, and then it ended up being Sting versus Hall and Nash. Sting tried his best to turn it around, but the numbers game was just too much for him, and he ended up being eliminated as well. After the match, The Undertaker made his way back down to the ring and viciously assaulted Sting with a kendo stick and left him there. Sting tried to get a little bit of retribution last week, but Undertaker did manage to pull out the victory, and Sting, once again here, looking for some retribution. I don't know if we'll see. I think we'll probably see these two guys at our Thunder pay-per-view coming up this Sunday, or this Saturday, should I say. I'm hoping I can get it all recorded in time, because my parents are up this weekend. Yeah, that pay-per-view might be a bit later in the day on Sunday then, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I want to try and use these guys as sparingly, because I don't want to end up being what it was last year's game with just the same guys wrestling each other week after week after week. So might involve them in the show on Saturday. Maybe we can have a tag match. Maybe the Undertaker and Vampiro versus Sting and Mil Muertes. What do you think about that? Interesting. I like that, actually. I do like that. Undertaker now, a big DDT. Planting Sting dead center of the ring. Oh, and now talking the center of the ring, Sting gets taken up and chokeslammed right in there. Straight in for the pin goes Taker. Could this be a very, very quick victory once again for Taker? No, it's not. It's only enough for the 2 count. It's not good when you're downloading something. It comes up as it's 2 weeks and 4 days till completion, is it really? It's a tiny file as well. Sting now dropping a leg drop on The Undertaker. And there's so much potential on this roster for feuds as well. I'm hoping we're going to get a chance to try and do as many as possible. Of course, there has been... Oh, Sting. Sting, you cheeky little beggar. There he is there. Tombstone Piledriver. The signature move of The Undertaker on The Undertaker. Sting trying to send a message. Is it message received? It's not. The Undertaker returns to sender. Oh god, I can't believe I just did that. I'm busting out the postman jokes now. That's how bad it's got. Sting sending Taker over the top rope. Now joins him out there as well. Of course, remember also this Saturday we do have our last of the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament qualifiers. That's the words I'm looking for. I think that's also going to be Mexican based as well, so keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a very Mexican based weekend for us. I think it is Mexican based, you know. Of course, we've already seen 3 lots of qualifiers. After this, we are going to have 2 sets of quarterfinals at NXT. Then we'll have the semi-finals on an episode of SmackDown before we get to the final, which will be on the next SmackDown pay-per-view, I believe. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Of course, a couple of the guys on our one guy that's on our Cruiserweight Championship tournament, Will Ospreay, has had a fantastic few days. I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but Will Ospreay yesterday won the Best of the Super Juniors down in New Japan Pro Wrestling. An absolute incredible feat. Only the 5th non-Japanese wrestler to do that in history, and the first to ever do it within 2 months of making his debut for the company. Really incredible work by Will Ospreay. Also, Triple H has discussed Will Ospreay at length in his interview today, and Will Ospreay was also a pretty big topic on Chris Jericho's podcast with Seth Rollins as well. So Will Ospreay's name is really getting out there at the moment. Of course, he had an incredible match against Ricochet at that Best of the Super Juniors tournament, and it's just gone from strength to strength in that tournament, I think. Taking our center Sting straight over the top rope, crashing to the outside. And this is where these two guys want to be. They want to be colliding outside the ring. Straight into the barricade, and now a stroke as well by The Undertaker. Big right hand by Taker, and it's not a situation you want to be in, is when Taker's swinging rights and lefts at you. Referee counts to 4. Taker now sending Sting into the side of the ring once again now. Taker slides back into the ring. Referee's up to a 6 count. Taker seems intent on maybe winning this one by count out. Referee's giving Sting a little bit of extra time, but he's up to a 7 count. Sting starting to stir now. Referee is really doesn't want to win this match by count out, does he? Because that was probably a 10 count there. It looked like Taker was going to swing the arm there to lock into a potential chokeslam, but Sting managed to catch him, spun him around and dropped Taker on his shin for that shin breaker. Sting now catching Taker with a couple of clotheslines. And another one. Sting a splash in the corner as well. In for the pingo, Sting. Could this be the retribution he so desires? It's not. It's only enough for a 2 count. And Taker and Sting slowly back up to their feet. Sting turns Taker around. Scorpion death drop. Now that could be all she wrote for The Undertaker, who managed to cleverly get his foot up on the rope, but Sting pulls away from the ropes. Is that extra couple of seconds going to be enough? And it is enough for Sting to pick up the victory over The Undertaker. And that makes him 1-1 now in a couple of weeks. That was the Hell's Gate by The Undertaker earlier on. And here's Sting just clattering Taker. Good few clotheslines. Taker stumbles back into the corner, only to be got by the Stinger splash. And Sting thought that was going to be enough. He went for the pin straight from that, but it was not enough to pick up the 3 count. But this was the Scorpion Death Drop, and that allowed Sting to pick up the 3 count over The Undertaker and regain a little bit of retribution for the damage done at Over the Edge. Tell you what, I'm going to punch that sign guy soon, I tell you. He's always doing my head in, right in the front bloody row. So a great win here for Sting, and also great wins for Dean Ambrose and for Eddie Guerrero as well here this evening. I hope you have all enjoyed this episode. If you have, then please do hit the like button. It does really help me out. And of course, if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe because there's a lot of content coming this weekend. We've got SmackDown for you tomorrow. We've got Thunder invades Lucha Underground on Saturday, as well as SmackDown's Global Cruiserweight Championship qualifiers. And of course, on Sunday, we have the Payback pay-per-view shared between Raw and Nitro. I've been Shabby Gamer, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for our next episode of SmackDown.